Everyone. My name is Frank Sanchez. I am the principal here at Columbia High School. We're joined today by our PE slash health slash nursing supervisor, Ms. Nicole Malfasani. And we're here to talk about some changes in our physical education option 2 and updates that came from the state. So Ms. Malfasani, if you'd like to start, I'll be able to answer some questions in the chat as Ms. Monfasani presents.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. There have been some updates, so we just wanted to hop on here and at least provide a platform as well if you have any questions and kind of go through. We are recording this tonight as well, so if you have any questions or you get disconnected or want to refer back to it, we'll have that ready to be sent out tomorrow as well, and Mr. Sanchez is going to get that up for us. You may see as we go through some documents, option 2 referred to as ISLO or individualized student learning opportunities. That is what the state actually refers option 2 as. So option 2 is kind of a nickname. You won't find that in its documents. You'll find it as individualized student learning opportunities. So that's why you see the ISLO updates as we go through tonight. So basically, why is this happening? What's the big change here? So basically, our chapter 8 that we'll refer to are basically the graduation requirements. So what option 2 falls under are graduation requirements. New Jersey has now updated their administrative code to be put into place for this starting school year, that any program that offers that option 2 pathway or the ISLO pathway must have a program in place that if it's going to supplement a New Jersey Student Learning Standards based course, a content area to receive credit, that it must be delivered by educators who are appropriately certified in that content area, meaning they have to have a valid New Jersey's teacher certification in that area in order to accurately assess and provide credit for that. The long code is on here where you will find it. So that's more of the specifics of where you would find it in chapter 8. And then our district does take those graduation requirement policies, which is 5460, and we take our guidelines from these updated state standards. So that is where that comes from and why we have to make these changes, because the state has now updated their guidelines around this policy. The state mandate is still the same, that it counts weekly for physical education, health, and safety, and it does not count on the weekend. So we just follow whatever the students are doing during the week, that Monday through Friday. And the goal is still to provide some sort of rigorous legal and compliant pathways for those CHS competitive athletes so that we can get them credit that the state will accept. So what this means is that whichever coach is directing your student athlete, that direct coach must have a valid New Jersey PE teaching certification. Most New Jersey certifications are health and PE combined. You will find here and there some just have phys ed, but the health and PE combined is completely fine. It's fine if they have that. So what that means is if a sport is overseen by a coach without a valid PE cert or no PE teaching cert at all, we cannot give them credit for a phys ed course through athletics. This includes any outside program. So if a student is doing an outside competitive sport, that direct coach would also have to have a PE certificate, and that would need to be submitted to us so that when we go through it, and if we see it, and if the state looks at it, we have something that says, yep, this was valid. They met their PE requirements. It was done by a certified educator, and your child would still be able to get that credit. So as we go through, that direct coach, that PE certified coach, is the one that needs to be instructing that student athlete. It can't be a different coach that is signing off on those logs because it is a legal document. Same pretty much like Power School, that teacher that's on your child's roster in Power School for English or math is the certified educator. Same with this document. Since it's not a class, since it's an outside program, that signature is what is stating that that teacher or that coach is the certified educator signing off on those logs to be able to give credit. The same process will follow, that the certified coach is the one who signs the weekly log, not an electronic signature. but they must be the one to sign the log. It can't be a different coach in the program that is not certified, because if it's a non-certified staff signing it, then that can result in non-compliance and the student losing credit for PE for that sport. So we went through and did an audit with the help of Coach Winstead as well, to go through what of our staff members, coaches right now currently have that valid cert. So, and this is, again, I want to preface this where this can change. Sports can absolutely be added as we get more coaches who are PE certified. But right now, this is what we're looking at for this current school year. So right now for the fall, we have certified coaches that are coaching both varsity and freshman boys soccer, varsity and freshman girls volleyball, and varsity football. All of them have a certified coach that can sign off on their application and can sign off on their weekly forms to verify credit of meeting those PE standards, because that's really the goal that we're looking for with this program. As of right now for the winter, indoor track and field does have a verified coach, and we're looking so far for the spring boys varsity baseball, varsity and JV softball, again, indoor track and field as well. And we are possibly waiting on the flag football coach as well to be certified. Again, these can change, and we will update that as we send them out for those winter and spring seasons. So we'll make sure you're aware, but right now this is what we have looked at. So what this means is that dance and outside sports, again, would only qualify if there is a phys ed certified. So dance certification does fall under fine arts student learning standards. So if a dance teacher is certified in dance education, then it would only qualify for that, not phys ed. If someone is doing a competitive sport in season outside of school and that coach happens to have one, great, submit the certification and that would count. We would kind of go the same way. As of right now, the same rules still apply. It's got to be when their in season is happening. So like out of season workouts don't qualify, personal workouts don't qualify. You have to be in season with that coach. And the same thing applies, that it's got to be at least 6 weeks of covering that 9-week period of a quarter so that we can actually state that it qualified for the entire quarter. And again, it's completely subject to change. I know we did go through our Title IX compliance as well, and we do have equivalent sports across the board. Again, we will always reevaluate that as it changes with coaching certifications. So for those who are unfamiliar with option 2 and how it works if your child is in the program, instead of the PE class, your child will be placed into a study hall during that period. So say, this semester they have period 2 phys ed. For quarter 1, they'll move into a study hall for that quarter 1 instead of a PE class. The study hall is mandatory. It can't be swapped out for a TA class or a senior privilege or a free period. They are expected to be in that study hall. The point of the study hall is to let them catch up, 1, on their logs that they need to submit, and 2, any work that they have that they're maybe missing or need time of because they are playing that sport after school. Like I said, we do need the sport to happen at least 6 out of the 9 weeks. If a sport ends prior to those 3 weeks of the quarter ending, then it's not going to qualify for enough time in the quarter. We will just put the student into a PE class to finish out the quarter so that we can make sure that they meet all the mandates and that they're getting their credit for the quarter. They don't have to make up, obviously, previous work. They have that from option 2, but they'll just finish out in there. If it's less than that, then we're good. We have enough time. They don't have to go back into a PE class for the last 2 weeks of the quarter. If a student gets deactivated, then we'll make sure that they get put into a PE class and we'll count it for both. And we'll talk about injuries in a second. If the student does get injured, I know this kind of comes up a lot and some people have questions. If injuries happen, they're bound to happen. They're going to happen. It can be, hopefully just a rolled ankle. You're out for a day or 2 and you see the trainer, and Yusuf looks at it and you're out for a day or 2 versus maybe you have to go to the doctor puts you out for 2 weeks. We always tell the students you have to communicate. So if a student does get an injury and they are out for an extended period of time, if they're out for that week or more, they need to make sure that they submit either They can do that through USEF. They can, so if they have a doctor's note, make sure that gets to the nurse's office. That should be on file regardless. But they need to make sure they communicate that through their course, through their Canvas page, through their program, and to their counselor, just so that everyone is aware if they're missing that week, as well as their coach should know as well. If it's an extended time to where maybe they're out for the rest of the season, if they obviously can't participate in a sport, they may not be able to participate in PE. That is fine. We can go the medical route as long as we have documentation, and they won't lose credit, but they will get the M for the medical, and we will keep them in that study hall so that this way they can still complete their work, but they wouldn't obviously be able to take PE. So we will always make it work in that case. We just, because this is an independent program, students need to make sure that they are communicating any sort of injuries or missed time so that we do have that documentation on file. Again, we know, we understand injuries happen. Sometimes it's a late night roll of the ankle and they didn't participate the next day. That is okay. But anything extended or doctor's notes, everything needs to be on file, especially with the nurse's office, and to just communicate that. The students do a pretty good job of doing this, especially through their Canvas page. But we just want to make sure that all documentation is in place. If you haven't, again, done this before, so basically there is a weekly log and journal that goes through Canvas weekly. The students, once they're put into that study hall, get set up with a Canvas page. They are no longer in a phys ed course, right? They're not meeting with a teacher daily. They're not going down to any gymnasium. They are now going to a study hall. That study hall teacher is not their option 2 teacher. This is just a staff member that is overseeing the study hall. The students are responsible for submitting everything electronically through that Canvas page. That is how everything is kind of kept documented so that students can see what they've submitted, what they're missing. And that is what is the evidence that if we do get audited, here's the evidence that the student completed this. So the same thing that they need to be completing their minutes, Monday through Friday, which is usually not a problem at all. We always hit that. Weekends are not included because it has to be during the days that school is running. They will upload everything to Canvas, a log and a journal. They have one per week. And I'll show you samples of that in a second. If we don't receive documentation over the first 2 weeks of their program, we'll reach out. If we don't receive anything, then they're going to be removed from that program and put into a phys ed class in order to gain credit, because we need to make sure that we are actually have documentation that they are participating. The mandate does state that every week a student must be enrolled in a health, phys ed, or safety course, first grade through 12th grade, including every year during high school. It is one of 2 courses that are mandated all 4 years of high school, and it's mandated weekly. So we can't roll over minutes, which is why we need to make sure that they are enrolled in these weeks Monday through Friday, at least for the time being that they are participating in that sport. It is in Chapter 8 guidelines in the regulations that we have to keep the documents on file with the school district because they are subject to review at any time by the commissioner or somebody appointed by the commissioner. So that is why we use this method, so that they have their sign logs, they have their journal demonstrating what they've done and how they've met standards. So if anyone were to ever audit, we can prove that these students earn that credit in that class. One of the biggest things that we need to make clear is that we can't accept electronic signatures, obviously forged signatures or copied signatures. That becomes unverified logs, and if a student does forge a coach's signature, then they will be removed from the Option 2 program. They will have to either finish out their credit in phys ed if there's enough time, or they won't be able to receive credit for that quarter, and then they won't be eligible for the next Option 2 quarter for that sport. If they do decide to just stop the sport, they don't want to play it anymore, they decide to drop out, they change their mind, not a problem at all. They would just contact us or their counselor again, and we'll make sure that they get into a phys ed course that we can make sure that they get their credit. Again, it is the same way. It's 1.25 credits, the same as a phys ed course, because it's only based on a quarter. The only change with Option 2 is that this does not go towards their GPA because it is a pass-fail course. So it is just a pass-fail, doesn't go towards GPA, but it's you still get your credit. You get your 1.25 credits based on that pass-fail. I know a lot of people had questions when they were seeing a pass or a fail. There's the 100 and the 50. Don't worry about that. You want to make sure the student has a P. You want to see that passing. You want to see that 1.25 credits next to that P so that we can make sure they got their credit for that quarter. If you haven't done this before, the students are going to fill out a page of the packet, and you will get a copy of that as well. And they're going to fill out a Google form to submit the application. So the first things we want to do, again, for fall sports, make sure that you have a coach that is New Jersey teaching certified in phys ed. Make sure they have an active valid cert. Again, we're looking right now for varsity and freshman boys soccer, varsity and freshman girls volleyball, and varsity football. All of this information, and we always send it out before every season to the students, to the parents, and that will go out tomorrow. We wanted to make sure we had this session first to kind of answer any questions before people started submitting applications. So once they have that, they will go through page 2. They'll need student signature, parent or guardian signature, and their coach's signature. That is the certified coach that's going to be signing off on the forms. Once they sign that form, they're going to submit the form on a Google form. The Google form needs to be filled out by the students because the students have questions that they need to answer, that they understand what it is they need to submit, when they need to submit. So the student is the one that has to fill out the Google form. If they're having trouble with the form, please feel free to reach out. But we don't open it to just anybody. We want to make sure that the students fill it out so the students understand what their requirements are. So they'll go through and fill that out. Once they receive that, we receive their application, they will be put into a study hall. We will adjust their schedule. So you will see a study hall on their schedule in place of phys ed for that. If your child has, for quarter 1, either a health 12 or a driver's ed, they cannot get out of a health 12 or driver's ed class with athletics. They are required to take, regardless of what time of year, their health or driver's ed class. So this is only in place of PE, not health or driver's ed. And again, this is strictly a pass-fail program. So you will get that pass-fail as long as all those weekly logs and journals are properly put into Canvas. We will send out this, we will do this again for winter sports. We'll send that information out in October. And then we will do this again for spring sports, and we will send updated information out in March. So if you haven't seen it before, this is our page 2 of the packet. This kind of just breaks down a little bit of what we talked about, some of the guidelines. Again, this is where the student signs, the parent or guardian signs, and the coach signs. This is the page that needs to get uploaded to the Google form. This is part of your application, just saying that you understand what it is that you actually need to submit on a weekly basis. Again, most students are aware a lot of this is geared towards freshmen as well if you haven't done this before. And then here's a sample of the log that they get. So you will also get this in the packet as a sample log. They fill one of these out each week. You can do this after practice. They can do this, the first 3 minutes of their study hall, how long their practice or what their game was yesterday, what their match was, what they did, what kind of activities, and what standards they think they met while doing that. We also provide you with a whole bunch of sample standards to put on there so that, again, we can demonstrate to the state that, yes, this does qualify for phys ed credit because they are meeting phys ed standards. And they will also get a sample of the journal entry. It doesn't necessarily need to be as detailed as this, but we just provide an example for the students of something that they can write about what they did that week in order to meet the standards. I know it's a lot of information, some very similar, some the same, some different changes that we're going through. We're managing it as best we can. If you have any questions, though, again, don't hesitate to reach out. This information will get out again tomorrow. So we're trying to make sure that we get all the information out. We're not going to leave any students behind. We're going to leave the application open for a bit because we are going to make sure that we can still get students enrolled even that first week of school as schedules start getting to get cleared up. We don't know. We did the audit for the state put it in so that everybody had to update their guidelines for this upcoming school year. So this did not take place until this upcoming school year. We did an audit based on the coaches that had all the certifications. So this is not impacting athletics. Students can still absolutely participate in their athletics, but this has to be rolled out for the upcoming school year for September for districts to update their district policies based on the high school graduation requirements.
And
I will
just
stay
to
on for
add,
some more questions.
I'm,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to add that, what the state sends out and then what they do and decide is sometimes two different things. So for example, the phone, just for the cell phone policy, was announced in May, I believe, and the guidance did not come to the districts until actually just a week, 2 weeks ago. So, for example, when they passed the legislation about cell phones, they said the ban on phones would be from bell to bell, but that would be determined by the district of what we determined bell to bell. So most schools in the state decided, oh, we'll just say no phones in the classroom from period to period, and schools can continue to just have their phones put into like these little pouches, right? That we used to do. Just in case, we used the New Jersey grant to seek pouches for 2 additional grades, and we're lucky we did so because the state in just the last 2 weeks announced that, oh no, students are not to have their phones with them from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So, it's not always very clear what the state intends to do with these codes. They did have this change in code, or we're talking about it last year, but we didn't implement it last year because they were just thinking about it and talking about it. And when they do make changes in code, there has to be a public discourse. People have to ask questions, and then the state then makes their decision. So this is just finalized this summer, which is why we're sending it out now.
Yeah.
So
There was a lot of feedback around this, from a lot, because again, this is the ISLO is not just for phys ed, it's for multiple subject areas. So there was a lot of feedback that they received, from districts, from administrators, from teachers, about this and how it would impact not just obviously specifically health and phys ed, but how it would impact many other areas on these requirements, because they were updated for all, including CTE. So they received a lot of feedback. This was well over a year that they were talking about this and gone through multiple meetings at the board and multiple revisions of their chapter 8 before they even finalized it.
yeah. So we will be, I mean, Ms. Malfasani, you'll be sending out the actual paperwork and packet so students can start looking
Yep,
at
yep.
it.
It's all set to go out tomorrow. We just wanted to have this first in case anyone had questions
Yeah.
prior to reading through the packet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we thank you very much for bringing this to light and to explaining the process and kind of walking us through the entire document. Again, page 2, what we call right, page 2 is a very important document because it has to get uploaded. So we thank you very much. And again, we to be honest, there are some questions about talking back to the state. We did. I mean, at least I did. Right? We did go to the state about this because we did. Not everyone agrees with this policy, and so I do think it always helps to talk to your elected officials, but specifically also the Department of Education person as well. So feel free to do that and to use our school as an example. So because that's what we're following. We're following the state code. So thank you very much. And we appreciate everything you do, Ms. Malfasani, and everybody. We're going to start school next week, and we'll be sending out more information in the next couple of days about opening day. So thank you, everybody,
Thank
and
you,
have a great
everyone.
day.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Have a great day.